Okay, ladies, welcome to the Menopause Sucks, but it does not have to program. I'm really excited about this program because I found as I'm going through perimenopause myself that there just wasn't a lot of resources out there that I could turn to and to figure out what was going on with me. In fact, I'm going to give you a little bit about my background and how I've gone through perimenopause and what's going on with me. So I'm Juliana Garcia. I'm a mother of one. I've been a personal trainer of 20 years, an educator, a nutritionist, and a pro bodybuilder. And I'm really obsessed right now with this transition in my life. For a long time, I was obsessed with just fitness and workouts and bodybuilding, how to optimize your health and be in the best shape of your life. But as time went on and I turned 47, I started experiencing something that I've never experienced before. Even in my reproductive years and going through PMS, I didn't have a lot of PMS symptoms like a lot of women do. So I didn't have a lot of issues with my hormones throughout my life. And I do believe one of the reasons that is because I didn't have a lot of PMS because I wasn't on the pill. And if you're familiar with the pill, which I'm assuming many of you are who have been on it or have not, put in the chat if you're someone who has been on birth control in the past. But being on birth control kind of puts you in a perimenopausal state because they're suppressing your hormones. They're also giving your body synthetic hormones. But throughout my life, I never really got to experience that. So when I started experiencing these new symptoms, it was very interesting to me because I wasn't sure what was going on. So, what I've been doing for this last almost year and a half now is I did a deep dive on researching what was happening. And it started in August before I turned 47 years old. I'm 48 years old now, but I just started feeling off. Something wasn't right. And my motivation going to the gym had completely gone away. And I'm someone who is constantly in the gym. I look forward to training my body, but I just didn't want to go. And in fact, my energy started to deplete. I started feeling fatigue. My sleep started feeling off. And this all happened over the course of just a couple of months. And it happened really fast. And little did I know that my hormones were off. So, one of the first things I did was start researching my symptoms. And then this word perimenopause came up. I'm like, perimenopause? What is this? And as I started to go do a deeper dive into perimenopause, I realized, wow, wait a minute, I'm 47 years old. I'm not too far from 50. So maybe these are things that I should be feeling and experiencing. So what I ended up doing was I started finding different providers and asking questions. And one of the first ones that I went to, they didn't ask for blood work or anything. They asked me about my symptoms and they immediately put me on creams. They put me on testosterone cream and progesterone cream. And over the course of 7 months, I tried creams and I still wasn't getting any effect out of them. I wasn't feeling any better, maybe a little bit of relief, but my symptoms were still just getting stronger. So then I went into a second provider where then continued to put me on testosterone, but not a cream anymore. They put me on onto an injection testosterone. And even in my whole life, as a bodybuilder, I've never injected testosterone, so this was new for me. But the good news was that I started feeling relief. And some of my other symptoms included my libido was dropping. How many of you have said goodbye to your libido? Your libido checked out. It like exited the freeway a couple of exits ago, and you're just like, what's going on? And that's not something that we want, right, ladies? Especially if you're in a relationship, this can definitely have an impact on your relationship. So as I started to do more testosterone, I continued on the progesterone. I started feeling a little better. And then just a few months ago, I started feeling my mood, irritability come back, even after they started to alleviate a little bit. And when I did my blood work again, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit here in this presentation about how getting your blood work checked is very important and why we should get our blood work checked, because that is what's going to tell us exactly where we stand with our hormones. And if our hormones are out of whack, then we're going to be out of whack. And we're going to start experiencing these symptoms. So I'm excited for you because we're going to dive in here. And today, the first thing we're going to learn is about our hormones, how they affect our body, and then the steps that we can take so that we can see where our hormones are in our current state. And I also want to remind you, ladies, we're all individuals. We're all going to be different and we're not going to all have the same solution. So, and Each solution might not be right for you. You might want to go the holistic route. You might not want to do hormone replacement therapy. So there are options. And the good news is that throughout this course, I'm going to teach you how to optimize your health with your nutrition, with your fitness, with your sleep, because these are all things that are going to be affected as we go through perimenopause. Okay, so I want to congratulate you for stepping up and taking control of your health during this amazing time of your life. I'm going to admit, I wasn't thrilled about going through this. In fact, I was very resistant. And the first thing I wanted to do was just fix it. That's my go to. I got to fix this. This isn't right. This isn't happening. And I also didn't want to accept the fact that I'm aging because what woman wants to accept the fact that she's aging, right? I mean, when you're young, you're having fun, you're living life, everything feels good. And then all of a sudden you get this wall that just pops up and just say, oh, excuse me, miss. Yes, you're getting older and now it's time for your body to transition. And guess what? Every woman is going to go through this. So by 2025, more than 1 billion women will be experiencing menopause around the world. Countless millions will be perimenopausal and countless millions will be postmenopausal. So that means that no woman is going to escape this. Now, I am going to share one little statistic, and around 15% women will not experience symptoms as severe as some of us. I do admit that I am experiencing severe symptoms. In fact, I don't like it and it sucks, hence the name Menopause Sucks. Okay, so what is perimenopause? So, perimenopause is the year surrounding the time when you transition to menopause. It can start as early as your mid to late 30s and last anywhere from 4 to 12 years. I know that's a really big range, right? But that's what happens. And what I've learned is I've been talking to different women, and some women will tell me what they're feeling, but they're like, but I'm not going through that. That's not me. I'm not perimenopausal. I'm fine. But I'm seeing a lot of characteristics that are telling me that they are going through this. And the hard thing is accepting what this is, really. Like I said, I had a hard time accepting it too. But during perimenopause, you're still going to have periods, even if they are irregular. That was another sign for me. My periods just weren't the same anymore. In fact, I was having them every 2 weeks, a little bit, a lot. And it was really frustrating because I didn't know what was going on. So because we're still having periods, guess what? This means that you can still get pregnant. Okay. So be careful. You still need to use some form of birth control so you're not getting pregnant. I know at the age of 48, that is not something that is on my agenda right now. I'm sure my mother would love to have a grandbaby, but that is not something that I'm prepared to do right now at this point in my life. And you will experience a lot of hormonal fluctuation, and this can cause a wide variety of undesirable changes, which are the symptoms that we are experiencing. Okay, now what is menopause? So, perimenopause, as I said, leads up to menopause. And after 12 consecutive months without a period, you are officially in menopause. It's just one point in time, but you have to go through those 12 months of not having a period. Now, I know women who didn't have a period for 11 months and then it came back. They're still not menopausal. You have to go that whole 12 months, and that is what is considered to be in menopause. And what that means is that your ovaries stop producing estrogen and progesterone, and you're no longer ovulating or releasing an egg each month. Now, who doesn't want a period anymore? I know I don't. That's going to be great. But the unfortunate thing is because we're going through this, we're going to experience symptoms because our hormones are now decreasing. And as I said, this can start happening as early as your mid 30s, and it's going to cause our body to have these different symptoms. I want you to think of your hormones like the software of your body. They're chemical messengers that go and tell your body exactly what to do. It's like the boss didn't show up to work one day and nobody's doing any work. So things like regulating our metabolism and regulating our sleep, regulating our blood sugar, all of these things are being affected whenever our hormones start to decrease over time. And now the average age of natural menopause for a woman is 51, but there is a lot of individual variation. Some women experience this a little later, and some women experience this a little sooner. So if we approach this phase with positivity and support our bodies with some smart strategies, there's no reason why we can't transition beautifully into the next phase of life with confidence. And that's what this course is about, so that we can lead this with confidence. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get a primer on the key hormones that are involved in this. This is where we're going to become empowered, because once you understand and know how your hormones operate, then we can better understand our symptoms, and then we can better understand what treatment that we need to get. Okay. So estrogens have over 400 different function in a woman's body. So estrogen is one of our main sex hormones. There's three of them: estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. But first, we'll talk about estrogen. Estrogen promotes the development and maintenance of female sexual characteristics in the human body, including breasts, body hair, and regulation of the menstrual cycle and reproductive system. And the main estrogen factory in the female body is found in our ovaries. So, and also the adrenal glands produce estrogen, but in smaller amounts. So, when our ovaries begin to decrease and stop producing estrogen, our adrenals will take over. But when that starts to fail, then our fat tissues also make estrogen. And this is where weight gain comes in. So, a lot of times women will start to gain weight even after they haven't changed anything. Maybe you haven't changed your diet, maybe you haven't changed your exercise routine, but now over the course of time, you're slowly starting to increase in weight. But it's not only estrogen that's causing the weight gain. There's going to be a couple of other hormones that I'm going to touch on here in a few minutes that are going to explain our weight gain as well. And once we can get those in control and balance, then we can start losing weight healthfully. And during perimenopause, estrogen will go up and down, and this roller coaster is going to leave you suffering with a variety of symptoms. Now, how many of you have been experiencing symptoms like maybe hair loss? I'm going to go over these here next. And here are the common symptoms of low estrogen. So let's take a look at this list here. And I want you to put in the chat which symptoms that you may be currently feeling right now. Now, as I said, my blood work just showed that my estrogen levels have plummeted because my estrogen levels were fine in the beginning for this past year up until a little over 3 months ago. And the blood work showed that it just dropped drastically. And it made sense because it also showed some other values that were a little bit off. It showed my blood sugar was up. It showed that my insulin was unbalanced. So these are things that we need to look out for when we are looking at our blood work. And once we start understanding how these work, we can look at our blood work and find, okay, well, this is why I'm feeling off, and this is the treatment that I need to go with. But finding a provider, and I will talk about how to find a provider, having the right provider that can help you is going to be ideal. So here we go. We've got hot flashes, we've got night sweats, mood swings, depression, anxiety. This is something that's really big with me that I started feeling these last few months. I was having drastic mood swings. I wasn't feeling right. I was getting irritated by every little thing going on in the house. Ooh, I got to get comfortable here. Insomnia. So maybe your sleep is off. You're not being able to fall asleep. You're not able to stay asleep at night. So this is definitely something when our estrogen is off, it affects our sleep. Poor concentration, brain fog, dry skin, and your hair is falling out, weight gain, increase of belly fat. So vaginal dryness, painful intercourse, headaches, fatigue, low libido, irregular short, light, or absent periods, increase in urinary tract infections, and frequent urination, and even leaky bladder. All of these symptoms are symptoms that we're going to be experiencing, and these are signs of low estrogen. The next one is progesterone. So this is another sex hormone in women, and estrogen is balanced by progesterone. I want you to think of estrogen as the party girl, and progesterone is the one that keeps her in check. Okay, this is also made by the ovaries and adrenal glands in menstruating women, and it spikes around the time of ovulation and along with testosterone, which boosts your libido. It's also considered the calming hormone as well. Most women feel their best in their third trimester of pregnancy when progesterone production is very high. Also, whenever an egg is not fertilized, then we shed our lining, and progesterone increases right after ovulation. And when there's not an egg implanted, then that's when our period starts. So that is progesterone. And then when your progesterone is low, we are going to have these symptoms here, which you're going to find that a lot of them stack on top of each other. So they're going to have some similar symptoms that when your estrogen's low, your progesterone's low, they're going to go hand in hand. So depression, anxiety, mood swings, fatigue, bloating, tender breasts, again, low libido, insomnia, weight gain, increased fat in the butt and the hip area. So if you're gaining weight in these areas, this could be a definite sign that your progesterone is low. You're going to have irregular or heavy periods, increased PMS, headaches or an increase in pre-existing migraines, poor concentration, brain fog, and hot flashes. So when progesterone is low. And whenever, like for me, when I got back on to progesterone and it started increasing my levels, I started feeling better and I started to have better sleep. So getting this checked and then getting some therapy that's going to be right for you is going to be ideal. And as I said, we'll talk about hormone replacement therapy here in a bit. The next sex hormone is testosterone. Now, if estrogen is considered the feminine hormone, then testosterone is considered the masculine hormone. However, both men and women do have estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in their body, just in differing quantities. We're going to have more estrogen in our body than a male will, and they're going to have more testosterone than we will, but we still have testosterone. In women, testosterone is produced by the ovaries, and to a lesser degree, it's also produced in the adrenal glands. Okay, so here are the symptoms, the common symptoms of low testosterone in women. And if you see any of these on here, then I want you to put it into the chat. And as you can see, it's made another showing low libido is with low testosterone. So even if your progesterone and your estrogen are fine, your testosterone can also be low, and that's going to signify that you have a low libido. You can also have a difficulty time reaching orgasm when your testosterone is low. Vaginal dryness is also very common with low testosterone. Fatigue, weight gain, especially around the midsection, brain fog, poor concentration. Again, back to PMS symptoms. So these are all things that are going to be contributing to our symptoms, and having this balance is going to definitely help alleviate these symptoms. Your sleep disturbance, loss of muscle and muscle weakness, which is related to testosterone, loss of bone density, and irregular menstrual cycles. Now, we're going to move on to estrogen dominance. And what this is, has anyone heard of estrogen dominance? It's an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, specifically when the balance of hormones is shifted to favor estrogen. It's either due to an excess of estrogen or a deficiency of progesterone. Even as you approach menopause, it's still possible to have too much estrogen. Okay, it's all, and what this is, when it's relative to progesterone in the body, the hormonal imbalance can occur during various stages of a woman's life, including perimenopause. So during this time, the ovaries gradually produce less estrogen and progesterone, leading to fluctuations in our hormone levels. And estrogen dominance can occur for several reasons. One of them could be that there's decreased progesterone production, as I said, irregular menstrual cycles. There could also be lifestyle factors such as stress, lack of exercise, poor diet, and exposure to environmental toxins that can contribute to estrogen dominance by distributing the delicate balance of hormones. Body fat can also be, so estrogen is stored in fat cells. So that could be an elevation of your estrogen and why you have more estrogen. And finally, menstrual irregularities. Estrogen dominance can lead to heavy, prolonged, or irregular periods during perimenopause. If you've ever known anybody with PCOS, this is due to estrogen dominance as well. Okay. Next, we have our symptoms of estrogen dominance. As I just talked about, these are the symptoms that we have here: weight gain, fatigue, headaches, depression. There's a common theme amongst all of these symptoms. You're going to find many of them that are going to be in all of these. So when our hormones are low, it's very important that we start finding solutions on how we can balance them out. And the main thing to help balance them out is going to be hormone replacement therapy. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first heard about HRT or hormone replacement therapy, it was a little bit scary. And if anyone remembers, the Women Health Initiative in 2002 came out with a study that scared us all, scared everybody, and it's still out there. And this is the study that actually scared women, and many doctors took a lot of women off of hormone replacement therapy, which wasn't the right thing to do, because there are numerous studies. I'm reading a book right now called Estrogen Matters, and it talks about all the research that has come out that shows all of the benefits that hormone replacement therapy actually gives us. So that's going to be a topic of discussion we'll be talking about, and I'm going to give you some solutions on how to find the right person and provider that's going to help you with this. Okay. Now, what causes estrogen dominance? Well, obesity is known to be the cause of too much estrogen in the body, but there can be other causes too. So, if you have a BMI that's over 30, or if you're considered obese, then estrogen dominance does occur in the body. There's also many of the additives found in consumer household, food, and beauty products which contain hormone disruptors like xenoestrogens, and these are chemicals that act like estrogen hormones. Genetics could be a reason why someone has estrogen dominance. And there's medications like synthetic hormone replacement therapy drugs, including the pill. So many women who got on the pill would start having symptoms of estrogen dominance. Chronic stress, poor diet, excess body fat, poor gut health. I can go on and on with some of the things like smoking, alcohol abuse, and exposure to toxic chemicals. One of the pillars in our course that we're going to do for the week is going to talk about the different chemicals in our environment and how we could steer clear of them. All right, so we're going to go over just a few more hormones, okay, that are going to play into our perimenopause. So cortisol, we all know what cortisol is. It's our body's main stress hormone, and it's naturally produced in response to a perceived threat. Now, one of the things that I feel throughout my perimenopause was high stress. I felt like I was being chased by a lion all the time, and I couldn't understand why. And this caused me to have anxiety. And anxiety, if has experienced anxiety, put it in the chat, but it's not fun. You're constantly worried and thinking about things. You're constantly in fear. And I know in today's busy society, we function in a chronically stressed state, and this hormonal cascade is constantly turned on, which results in a wide variety of symptoms throughout your body. And this is going to include poor digestion, increased belly fat, PMS, moodiness, sugar and carb cravings, sleep troubles, just to name a few. And we're going to talk about stress throughout this program for this exact reason and how we can alleviate that with holistic practices as well. So during perimenopause, as estrogen goes up and down, and this roller coaster can leave you suffering with a variety of symptoms. So it's all about your hormones. It's all about the symptoms. And we want to make sure that once we balance our hormones, these symptoms can start to alleviate. Next is insulin. Insulin plays a huge role in our body. So it's released when your blood glucose level increases. So, for example, after eating a meal or snack that contains a lot of refined carbohydrates or sugar, you release insulin. So, what insulin does, it instructs the cells to take up glucose, pulling it out of the bloodstream and reducing your blood sugar level. Now, the reason why insulin comes out to do this is so that we can give our body energy. Like carbohydrates are supposed to be our main energy source, but when we eat too many of them, we start to give off too much insulin, and this can be a bad thing. And this roller coaster is a chemical and biological stress on the body. So, too much insulin is bad. Insulin also encourages the body to store fat. So we don't want to be pushing out too much insulin. And the way we do that is by balancing our blood sugar. It is one of the most important things you can do to reduce this chemical stress so your body can heal and rebuild and reduce the risk of serious diseases in the future, and also to help maintain a healthy weight. As a nutritionist, I teach my clients how to balance their blood sugar and how to reduce the amount of insulin that we're putting out into the body so that we're not storing more fat. And this is another thing that we're going to learn during this course is how to balance your blood sugar and how to not become insulin resistant. Unfortunately, our hormones do cause insulin resistance, but as we balance our hormones, we can get better at reducing storing the body fat and to keeping everything level. Next, we have our thyroid hormone. How many of you are familiar with your thyroid hormone? Put that into the chat for me, because the thyroid hormone plays a very big role. It's a significant role in various physiological processes in the body, including the regulation of your menstrual cycle during the transition in perimenopause. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to understand how the thyroid gland works. It acts as the gas pedal of your metabolism. It controls how fast or slow you burn calories and your metabolic rate. So this does affect our metabolism. So there's a common condition known as hypothyroidism, which occurs when the body doesn't make enough thyroid hormone. So that what happens is your metabolism slows down, and regardless of how little you eat, you still continue to gain weight. And this can happen at any age for a woman, but it becomes particularly common near menopause. So when the thyroid is not producing enough thyroid hormone, it can cause fatigue, weight gain, hair loss, depression, constipation, dry skin, and many other problems. So now that we've reviewed our hormones, the most important ones, I want to talk about getting your hormones checked. The reason why we want to get our hormones checked is first to get an accurate diagnosis, because hormone testing in perimenopause offers precise diagnosis, as symptoms like hot flashes, mood swings, and irregular periods stem from hormonal imbalances. Providers can use hormone levels to confirm your imbalances and to customize a treatment for you. And with this, you'll get a personalized treatment plan. So when we know where your hormones are, you can get tailored treatment plans, allowing your healthcare providers to recommend hormone replacement therapy and other options based on your levels, ensuring the safest and most effective approach for your specific needs. Now, I know there's a lot of different influencers out there on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and I've come across some that say don't do hormone replacement therapy. It's not good. It's going to cause, breast cancer, cardiovascular. They are so wrong with that. There's so many studies now that reveal that HRT is going to be that's going to cause the root problem. All of these symptoms that we're feeling, the root issue is because of our hormones. So if you have checked any of these symptoms off over the progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone that I've covered, that it's really important that you get your blood work checked and that you start finding a treatment plan that's going to work for you. It wasn't until I got on HRT that I actually started feeling better. And ladies, I've been working out, eating healthy and clean consistently for the past 15 years. I'm not perfect, but 90% of the time, I am on point with my food. I eat healthfully, single ingredient foods. I do my best to eat as healthy as I can. And I was still feeling the severity of these symptoms. So we are going to, but as we get on HRT, we do want to continue to do these healthy lifestyle changes so that we are optimizing our health. Okay. And another reason to get your hormones checked, symptom relief, because our perimenopausal symptoms can vary widely from woman to woman. Hormone testing is going to identify which specific hormones are out of balance, allowing for targeted treatment. Balancing hormones can lead to significant symptom relief, as I've said, improving your quality of life and your overall well-being. So if you're not on HRT now and you've been experiencing this for long term, then now's the time to really be an advocate for your health and go and get your hormones checked. We'll get with the right provider for you and get you on the right treatment plan. Now, so my experience and clients' experience is that it's going to take, it could take anywhere from 3 to 6 months until you have the right protocol. It took me nearly a year. It doesn't mean it's going to take you a year, but the sooner you get your hormones checked, the better. Another reason is for preventative health benefits. Beyond symptom management, hormone testing can offer preventative health benefits. It can identify underlying health concerns associated with hormonal imbalances, such as osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease risk. And early detection and intervention can lead to better long-term health outcomes. Ladies, so many research articles are coming out that are stating where women who are on HRT versus women who are not on HRT are increasing their quality of life, reducing their chances of breast cancer, reducing their chances of cardiovascular disease. So it's very vital that we take care of our health. And I'll give you an example. I know a woman, I'm not going to name her, but she's very special to me. And she's been going through severe symptoms, and she's already 60 years old. And one of the things that I noticed is her memory loss. She can't remember things, brain fog, and it's getting worse. In just the 3 years that I've known her, I've noticed that it's just gotten worse. And when I asked her if she was on HRT, she said she wasn't, but she was definitely going to talk to her doctor about it and see about getting some type of relief or some type of hormone replacement therapy. And even after the age of 60, women are still candidates for HRT. Now, it's not going to erase anything that's already occurred, but it is going to start helping for longevity and alleviating some of the symptoms that they're going through. Okay. And finally, we've got emotional well-being, because this emotional toll of perimenopause should not be underestimated. Okay. Hormonal fluctuations can lead to mood swings, anxiety, and even depression. And these are the 3 things that I have been feeling the worst of all the symptoms. Not fun. When living a life where I'm happy and I feel like everything is going great, I just was very confused about depression. One of the things that our doctors are doing is the first thing they're doing is saying, oh, this is normal. This is part of life. And they're putting women on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. This is not the answer. They're just putting band-aids over what they need to be doing. So by monitoring your hormone levels and addressing imbalances, you can significantly improve your emotional well-being, allowing you to enjoy this phase of life with more positivity and resilience. One of the other things that I was feeling was disconnected from the people around me. I didn't feel present. I didn't want to do anything. I would just sit in my room. I didn't want to go to the gym. And I felt my quality of life just wasn't ideal anymore. And that's not a fun place to be. So many women are suffering in silence, and that is not what we should be doing. So ultimately, the goal of hormone testing during this phase is to enhance your overall quality of life. And by managing our hormone levels effectively, you can maintain your physical health, your emotional well being, and your vitality. This ensures that you can continue to enjoy your daily activities, your relationships, and your interests with greater comfort and satisfaction. And sharing my experience, I am now on testosterone, progesterone. I just started estrogen cream a little over a week ago. And they say it could take up to, 1 to 3 months before you start feeling the effectiveness of it, but I already feel as my anxiety has alleviated and my mood is better. I was actually excited about, once I was home and getting up and about today, where before I would really have to push myself through just to get myself through the day, and that wasn't fun. So I'm very excited that I feel like I'm finally getting some relief. So what I recommend is finding a specialist that helps women going through perimenopause, menopause. I personally use Amazing Meds. They're a telehealth and they have been helping women make informed decisions about hormone therapy. So you can click the link for more info inside of your slide deck, but I also will share their information. But also, there are so many hormone replacement therapy places that are popping up around you. What you want to do is find somebody who specializes in this. Your GP and even your OB-GYN isn't going to be equipped unless they specialize in this. So let's be advocates for our health, because when we go to our OB-GYNs and they're doing our blood work, and I'm finding this with a lot of my clients and a lot of women that I'm speaking with, they're telling them, oh, well, you're in normal range. So for example, let's say 1 to 10, this is normal. You could be at a 2 and your doctor will look and say, oh, well, you're normal, you're fine, and they won't recommend anything. And sometimes they just go based off your symptoms and don't get blood work checked. So the first thing you want to do is get with somebody who is going to check your blood work and help you find a treatment plan. All right. Do we have any questions about getting your hormones checked? Because as I said, I will be sharing my resources in our group chat after the call, so that if you haven't already had your hormones checked, then this would be a great place to start. And this is going to be one of your tasks during this week's modules. Okay, now we want to start reframing menopause. And what that means is there is a prevailing belief out there that menopause means that you are officially old, and society will tell us that this is the end of our femininity, sexuality, beauty, and vitality. Well, let me tell you, sisters, I'm not doing that. I'm not ready for that, and that's not something I'm accepting, because none of this is true. The only thing menopause ends is your ability to make a baby. That's it. After those 12 months, you don't have a period, you're not going to make a baby anymore. And that's a good thing, right? If you're not trying to have a baby at this time of your life, unless you're Janet Jackson, who I think had a baby after the age of 50. But then again, not everybody is Janet Jackson, right? So the only thing menopause ends is your ability to make a baby. That's it. So throughout this program, I'm going to help you to reframe what menopause really means for you. Because even for me, I've been learning to embrace it, accept it, and now I want to be an advocate for all my sisters and my queens out there and let you know that during this time, that this is where we are going to be vital. Okay, now menopause means freedom from periods, no more anxiety over planning around your cycle, no more missed life experiences because of cramps or heavy periods. How many of you had really heavy periods? You bled through your clothing, you stained your car seat. I mean, I've heard so many stories out there. You didn't want to leave the house, you couldn't go to work, you couldn't go to the gym. I mean, it really does cripple a lot of women out there. And there's no more having to buy tampons or pads and new pants that were ruined because of these leaks. Menopause also means freedom from reproductive energy drain. So now that your body isn't spending its energy focusing on reproduction each month, it has energy to spare. As Margaret Mead said, I attribute my energy to most menopausal zest. Now, I have spoken to women who are well beyond menopause and who tell me that they feel amazing, they feel great, they're not experiencing symptoms anymore. So there is a time where you're going to balance out. Does that mean you stop hormone replacement therapy? Not necessarily. You're still probably going to need a little bit of hormones to keep you, just to alleviate any symptoms that you have. But this is something that you can come up with your doctor and provider as well. And menopause also means reinvention. So during this second act, I'm going to quote second act because this is the second act of our life. It's time to identify what truly brings you joy. So now that we're living well into our 80s, some of us into our 90s and beyond, menopause truly is midlife. So my goal is to live to be 100. So if I'm 48 now and then I'm going to hit menopause in the next few years, then I'm going to spend 40% of my life in menopause. So, this is your opportunity to spend the next few decades in a happier, more empowered way. We don't need to suffer in silence, and we don't need to succumb to just being and just existing anymore. We can be vital and live happy. Now, questions for reflection. Now, this is going to be in your discovery guide. And so, what I want you to do, and it is one of your tasks to do this week, is as you go through your discovery guide, you'll find that there's more detailed information over what I've gone through today. So, what I want you to do is take some time, and you can also record this in your journal here in the Practice Better app. You're also going to have an opportunity to have a food journal as well. We're going to go over that when we talk about nutrition in one of the upcoming weeks. So, what I want you to do is take some time and write down what is your current experience with perimenopause, menopause. I also want you to share it in the group. So, the group chat is going to be where we can share our experiences together. What would you love your experience with perimenopause or menopause to be? My experience with this, what I would love is to just feel better. I know I'm not going to go back to feeling like I'm in my 20s and 30s. I get that. I know that. But it doesn't mean I can't feel my best and I can't feel optimal. And so, what I want to experience is being able to go to the gym and enjoying it, living optimally by doing the right things that are going to help me just experience joy and happiness. Because who doesn't want to experience that? And the next question, what are the thoughts you had about perimenopause before approaching this stage of life when you were younger? I really didn't have any thoughts on it. In fact, I had clients who used to have hot flashes when I was training them. And they used to say, "Oh, just you wait, Juliana, just you wait till you hit menopause." And honestly, I just let it go past me. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I want to know what your thoughts are about perimenopause before you approach this stage of your life. And where did those beliefs come from? I didn't have a lot of conversations about menopause with my mom or my aunts or anything, but it doesn't mean that I can't learn from them now. In fact, was at a family event recently, just this past week, and we had a conversation about it. And what I learned from my mom and them was that they really didn't experience too much. Some of them didn't have symptoms, some of them did, and some of them just they just kind of powered through it. So our beliefs are normally coming from, the people around us. And what would you prefer to believe about menopause? Well, I just want to know the truth and I want to know the facts and I want to know how I can live through this life. And that's what I want to believe about menopause, that this is a time of my life where I can continue to be vital. Okay, so your homework assignment here is complete the taking stock assessment to get a clear inventory of your symptoms. Complete the questions for reflection. Spend some time journaling about your perimenopausal journey and your goals for this program. Get your hormones checked by getting your blood work done. That last one is very important. Now, Nancy, you did say that you'll be looking into getting your hormones checked. That is the first thing, if you haven't already done it, is to get it checked. Because once you do that, then your provider can create a protocol for you so that you can start alleviating some of these symptoms. Because ladies, realistically, this is what it is. If your blood work is reflecting that your hormones are low, then ideally you want to get to the root cause, and that's going to be your hormones. And you're not going to feel better. You can exercise, you can eat healthy, and you can take all the supplements that they're telling you to take out there. But from experience of the clients that I've had recently, that Right now, HRT is the thing that is going to start alleviating symptoms. So if you're having issues with your weight, if you're having hot flashes, if you're not able to sleep, these are just some of the few signs that are telling you, hey, my body's off and it's time to take control, be an advocate of your health, and get it done. And I can't express enough how important it is to take this step. So as your home for your homework assignments, this is one of the things that we're going to be doing. And when you do get this done, I want you to share this in the group. And I want you to know that we are here for you. So if you're having any issues, you're not finding a provider, I want you to reach out to me on an individual basis and I will help you find somebody. If it's not Amazing Meds, then we'll find out what area you're in because there are going to be providers out there for you. Okay, this is going to conclude the presentation and I am going to open it up to questions now. So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to open up for questions. All right, so go ahead and put in the chat and I will answer questions. And if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, you also can. Okay, so Nancy's asking that she was going to see an endocrinologist for her hormones and blood work. Would that be sufficient or do you need to look for a menopause specialist? Now, there are endocrinologists that are they do specialize in menopause for women. Not all, I'm finding though, not all of them do, but yes, an endocrinologist should be sufficient enough. I do recommend, and so what I would recommend is seeing what they say. And if they say you're not a candidate, then I would go see someone else for sure. So, because a lot of times they're looking at the same charts that are out there for women and they're saying, well, if you're in normal range, then you don't need anything. But right now, the charts that are out there, they're not showing us that it's optimal. So we want to be optimal. And optimal ranges are varying right now, but seeing somebody who actually specializes in hormone replacement therapy would be ideal. It doesn't mean that your endocrinologist doesn't know. Your endocrinologist could also be a specialist in that. But that's a great question. Kaiser now, so Emily's saying Kaiser now offers support with HRT. That's great. That's another thing, ladies. A lot of insurance out there is not covering hormone replacement therapy now. So you've got to also look into that as well. That's something that they're working on. And I think more insurance is doing it now. MediHealth, I believe MediHealth also takes insurance depending on your insurance provider. So I would look into MediHealth. Okay. And I'm also going to put into the chat which different telehealth medicines out there are taking insurance and are not taking insurance. Okay. If there's not any more questions, I'm going to, okay. Monica says my endocrinologist put me on antidepressants for hot flashes. It did help, but all the other symptoms are still there. You know, Monica, they do put women on antidepressants to help with hot flashes, but you're right, it's not going to help with the other symptoms. What we need is hormone replacement therapy. Guys, I'm going to be shouting it from the rooftop. So, what I would recommend is seeing somebody who specializes. I'll also put the link in the chat into our group chat on where menopause, I believe it's menopause.org, but I'll double check, but it's you can go and put your zip code in and it'll give you a list of doctors near you that specialize in this, that actually specialize in women going through perimenopause and menopause. That's the real important thing. Ladies, our doctors had 6 hours of lecture when it comes to menopause in all of their medical career, 6 hours of lecture. And it just blows my mind away that our doctors are not more prepared. Now, there are other doctors that have found programs and they specialize in this now, which is great. But the majority of our OB-GYNs, they're there to help you have babies and in your reproductive years and to prevent pregnancies. So most of our OB-GYNs are not going to have the answers for us. So if you go to your OB-GYN and they tell you you're fine, but you don't feel fine, that means we should go get another opinion for sure. So be an advocate of your health and make sure that, you're getting multiple opinions. And like I said, I'll be sharing more resources in the group chat to see if you haven't had your blood work checked, if you want a resource, reach out to me individually in the chat as well, and I'll help guide you with that as well.